What are some takeaways that you could share with people that want to maybe break that glass ceiling of design in the organization?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. And some of it, as I've kind of started to think about it, is sometimes you kind of get stifled by that fear of failure. Um, and it's kind of one of those things where if you set a task, right, and I'm going to design a car, there's two approaches to it. And there's one approach, I can design the car and I can deliver a car. I'm going to invest a heck of a lot of time to do that, a heck of a lot of resource. And honestly, we used to be like that, going, how we would interact, we would just be based on an end goal and what that is. And so the learning, I guess, in some respects, you would go through testing and phasing and prototyping and things like that. You'd still do a lot of it, but it would almost be quite siloed. And I think that's probably the biggest fear, is that opening yourselves up, or the fear of failure, that I have to keep a tight rein on things, which in some essence can almost stifle the opportunity or the creativity that comes out of a design, more of a design-led approach, where so we had always been in that quite siloed approach. Is if I'm delivering X, I'm delivering X. If I'm delivering the car, I'm delivering the car. Where today, the approach that we potentially would take is go, well, actually, the car's over here. We'll get there eventually, but what I can deliver today is a skateboard. So let's
Mhm.
start with the skateboard. And then, then through learning, developing, testing, trialing, however that might be in a really lo-fi way, I can then develop and then go to a scooter. And then eventually that will be a motorbike. And then eventually I'll get to the car. But what I've actually done now is encompassed and wrapped around that a whole lot of rich experience and learning and understanding, got a far better outcome had I just taken the approach of just fearing failure and only delivering the car. So it's
Mhm.
for us being okay from an experimentation perspective. I guess that it's okay to take a slightly different approach.
Um,
Yeah, and I think probably the other one too for us is, and thinking about it too, is more that collaborative approach. We are stronger together, and that understanding if I'm needing other units within our across function across our organization, from anything from marketing to our IT or development, from our customer insights team and stuff like that. And also too, we can't take away the value of our team in store and what they bring to our business and their learnings and understanding. They'll all bring completely different insights and viewpoints. And that sometimes the more you can get of that, the richer output is. So I think for us, it's about that strategic alignment. How do you get people on the bus with you? So um, how do you sell them? How do you give them the why? How do you get them to buy into what you're trying to achieve to get them to move with you? And I think that's probably, it's been a big learning, obviously, for myself through my career as well, about how do you get people to buy into the vision that you've got, but also too that a, a stepped approach is actually okay as well.
there is something that designers are passionate about. Let's not maybe go into details, but designers get excited with certain problems or certain topics or certain results, and those are not necessarily the same as business. So sometimes there is a tension. How do you manage that? Your design teams. How do you? Yeah, like I think you start to give some hints there in terms of selling a vision, but maybe how have you been able to align that vision with different people depending
Yeah,
on their interests?
that's a really interesting one from that perspective too, because in our business, so for people that don't know Mitre 10, we're the face of a corporate, but we are a cooperative. So we are a member cooperative. We're made up of individual businesses that then report into a board of directors. And so from us as a support centre, we are an organisation from, say, a head office and a support centre, and that we are there literally to serve our members as our store owners. And so from that perspective, what's quite different really for us is that there's this real tension for us as going, we have operators in our stores that are just about transacting and making dollars, where for us, we're in support center telling them you should do this. And so what's really important, and where I kind of bring it back to with my team, is let's define a really succinct set of key principles. So what are we designing to? What is that? What are we trying to achieve? We can always come back and benchmark against that. But also too, there's a bunch of stuff, especially when you start to go into some of the softer things more around customer experience and things which are slightly more intangible that tend to make people uncomfortable. Really understand what are the 80% of things that are so fundamental that we have to keep and maintain, that you're willing to die on the hill over? And what are the 20% of things that you can feel like you can give up, that actually help create those win-win situations? So I think it's not being so steadfast in some of your ideas and your thinking, and that actually it's okay, again, that we take on some of that feedback and what does that look like. For my design team specifically, it's super clear of, let's be really clear of what the key principles are, and actually how do we get that influence and the buy-in across, this is what we're trying to achieve and this is what we expect to happen if we achieve these things. And that's what will guide our design as we kind of go through. But also to understand, if we are giving up something, what are we trading off if we give that up? And that 80-20, so what am I willing to fight for that's so fundamental for us to maintain? So just being really clear, I guess, of what you are trying to achieve, how you're actually going to do that. And actually, again, it's about that influence and buy-in. And if you've told people and you've brought them on the journey of the why and the how and things like that, it's a much easier task to either convince them or to figure out and understand what you are trading off if you do have to make take an alternative direction.
I'm pretty sure you're really good at it, at selling design to the right people, the right stakeholders, funders, clients. What are pieces of advice of what you do?
Well, I don't know if I'm good or not, but it's a part that is not that painful for me, right? So I enjoy it, or I've learned to enjoy it, right? I hate to do it at the beginning, because I was, very introverted. I didn't have the perspective that I have right now. I didn't understand what other business people were doing. But once you break up the design bubble and you understand how the world works and who makes decisions and what is interested in and what each of those individuals are interested in, then you learn to find the selling proposition of design for each of those individuals. So my recommendation would be less egocentric. Designers tend to be very egocentric. We tend to think that our methods are the right ones, or our way is the way, and we put design at the highest level of priority, right? It's not, right? It's not for the majority of people, right? What they want is productivity. What they want is efficiency. What they want is do it in the least amount of time. Quality, which is sometimes what we aspire to, is not always in the heads of a lot of people, right? If quality allows them to sell more or penetrate a market or increase the adoption or reduce the errors or make something easy to understand, then it's totally fine. But you have to think about what is the incentive of that other person and what is their goal, what is their metric, what are they trying to find out or do or deliver, what is their KPI. Once you understand that, you will find how design can support that metric or that function, right? And you will adapt your narrative to whatever is interesting to that person or that organization, right? So if an organization is in an efficiency mode, right, and they're trying to save as much time or as much investment as possible and have results, you're not going to propose, a 3-month design research project to uncover opportunities and figure out, what the next big thing is. We're not in that moment, right? We're trying to save the company. We're trying to sell as much as we can. We are willing to sacrifice on quality. So show me how design can help us achieve those those goals. So understanding the strategy, the goals of the company or the individuals that you're interacting with is key. So coincidentally is one of our abilities, right? The empathy, understanding people. And understanding people is not only about the end user, right? It's part of it. Understanding people is about understanding that boss or that CEO or that leader or that organization, and being able to filter out what they're saying and how they're saying things, and the anthropology of the organization, to find the way to add value in that equation.
I love your term, the design bubble. We create this bubble with archetypes and stereotypes of what is to design, what is to be a designer, the personality, the likes and dislikes, and this is where I think the lack of imagination is, that we don't use those attributes and mindsets and skills and apply them in new situations. What do you think?
I don't think we have a lack of imagination potential. I think we have a lack of understanding, of knowledge. Imagination is one of our strategic competences, right? I mean, we are the best in the world imagining a future that does not yet exist, or a product or a service. We know how to, we envision the future in our heads, and then we communicate this to people, and we sell the future too. So I don't think we have a lack of skills for imagination. I think what we lack is the ability to understand and to gain knowledge about how the world works outside of design. If we have curiosity to understand about marketing, about strategy, about finances, about operations, about AI, then we will be able to bring that knowledge and inform that imagination, right? That is breaking up the bubble. So instead of reading, I don't know, what magazines exist in design, The Scene, right? Instead of reading The Scene, I love The Scene and I read it, but read the Harvard Business Review. That's the type of magazine that I'm subscribed to. I have 30 HBR magazines here, because that allows me to see what business people are thinking about, what is important about them. It's about, organizational effectiveness. It's about innovation. And when you read those articles, half of them have to do with design, but it's a business magazine, right? It's the quintessential business magazine. And if you know how to bridge the gap between design and those articles or those topics that are hot for corporations nowadays, then you're breaking the design bubble.
I like how you put it. Curiosity, for designers to have curiosity outside of design. I think that's really important. Mm-hmm. But if we just go, and I'm going to challenge you a little bit here with HBR, for instance, I think we need to approach those things through a design lens. And there needs to be a work of translation between the core in those areas and how designers can incorporate that into their professional development, especially younger designers in their early stages. I feel that it takes a lot of maturity to kind of construct those bridges. And if we just let individual designers in our teams to do that, that's really hard. I think as design leaders, I see that as a big opportunity as well as a challenge. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's very easy for us to say this because we have been doing this for 27 years. And we've been, I've been personally involved in 3,000 projects. So it's easy for me to say that, it's and to do it. But I see, not only junior designers, but 10-year experienced designers having still struggles to do that. I think the comfort that one can bring is to tell them, bear with us, this will all turn out okay. I know it, and it's just a phase that you're going through, or it's this particular project or this particular client, but that's not the normal. You know, it's an exception. So it's like providing comfort and coaching to people that are going through that. Is a big part of, you know, the leader's job in promoting design and defending design in large organizations.
What would you recommend to designers in industry to promote this user-centric view in outside the design department?
I think depends on the product, on the company, on the business unit. No, but I do believe that to gain visibility about what design is and what design represents, and that's the process. No, the process and how you get, or you get the goal, or you get the result. No? So, and if you are able to communicate like the how you got the insights and why you arrive like your conclusions, and you give like the fundaments on that, and not in one session, like during the process, no, and that works, and at least in my team, no, that's the difference. One thing, it's like to be involved in early stages, because it's, if you are not in early stages, there are some decision-making process that, I mean, it's impossible, like to sometimes, not impossible, but it's very difficult to modify direction or scope of the project if you arrive late. Of course, sometimes it's not on you, but you need to start building that communication and that relation with the other stakeholders. In my case, the engineering department is a key stakeholder, because it's an engineering-driven company. So if someone of this engineering team like discover the value of design, I have one foot on, no, in the area, and after that I put an arm and then the head, and then we are working together. No, so I think that's a very important, like to promote the work we done, and also like to take the risk, like to give them something that probably they are not waiting for, but we know that we can offer. No, so they have one project. Okay, that sounds great, but guys, we can take this direction. No, but we don't have resources, or the scope is not that one. Okay, let's bet on that idea, because we have information. It's not like I have a feeling. No, of course you have a feeling, but we have been working in that business unit for 2 years, and we have insights that we easily transform and align with this vision from the engineering department, but adding something else. No, so and once they see this, is, whoa, what's that? That's good. No, like, of course. And sometimes we launch that to maybe too far, and they say, okay, it's good, but we need like to fit with the budget or with the timeline, but normally it's not. I mean, that's the starting point, no, and probably with the same team, we will start from the beginning in the next year or the next project. No, so if we don't have this connection, we need to build that connection, and that give us or open the possibility to start in early stages, and not just not at the end, but once everything is set.
What would be ideal, in an ideal world, would you like to see more designers in the company to kind of like play with that balance, or would you rather have those 500 engineers develop some design sensibilities and design ways of working and thinking? What could be, I don't know, maybe 10 years down the line, what would be ideal, or a good place for you to be?
No, I would like to see the designers in every project, and from the beginning, end to end, from the beginning to the no, and we are there because at the end there is a process. We run a process in the company where since the beginning we must approve like the way of the project itself, but the relevance of the design or the resources for the design tasks are not the same. So I think, I would like to see more designers working actively in the projects. And I don't know, I was wondering if we have people in like another, in a different level. And we have actually now the CEO or CTO of one big business unit. He used to work in the Hue, in the Honeywell user experience, and now he's on the top. And it's amazing because at the end he knows the value, he knows the process, and of course he needs to cover and to perform as a CTO, but that affects us positively, no, to the design team. So that, like, to have a more people on higher level, that was not my ideally scenario. No, I would like to have more people working with the engineering, and running the whole process, the design process from the end to end. No, but well, that's my and not just one person, because also when they talk about the engineering team, there are many, no, and sometimes in the design team, yeah, probably one designer could face the design challenge, but I believe that the collaboration between two designers or even more, it's like a whoa, no, and every designers know that if you are working alone and without another partner, you start like to just like a constraint, no, like your vision. And with other designers, you debate, you talk, you discuss, you play, you everything. So, and sometimes we don't have enough resources like to have that connection, but we have a design studio. So even if we are working at different business units, I promote this connection. Like, okay, you are working in thermostats, let's play a little bit on this, no, and personal protection equipment. And okay, so they discuss, and we act as a team, even if we are in a different units. So I would like to have a more people involved and different people in different business units, but working more actively.